Welcome to the Accepted Authority podcast, where we help you solve a common growth challenge. I'm Andy Marmont, and with me, as always, is Greg Rowith. G'day, Greg.
G'day, Andy. Looking forward to getting started this year.
Yeah, and this is a great time to reflect, given it's an early episode for 2023. We're in reflection mode today, and we wanted to reflect around what's worked for ourselves, our own businesses, and our clients' businesses around growth, and what do we think around what might be the trends and the opportunities for 2023 when we're looking to grow our consulting services business. So I think we can start with maybe reflecting on 2022 from a growing your consulting firm business. And Greg, what are your reflections on, how would you summarize 2022 from a growth and what do you think's worked for you and your clients?
Yeah, well, I think there's two aspects to getting leads or inquiries, and I think those two go hand in hand. And what I've found over the year, I had a bit of a slow patch in the middle of the year, and although I was getting leads, they weren't converting into clients.
Okay.
Then around August, I changed my approach. Instead of, this was on my webinars. I changed the topic of my webinars, and it's had a lot more resonance with the market. And so I had a lot more inquiries and actually started converting some of my opportunities into clients. So there, that is a reflection on the end result that we're looking for. And we've got to have the right offer. That's prime first before we even worry about lead generation. We've got to be offering our potential clients what they want, and it doesn't matter what we think they need, but they're going to respond to what they want, not what we think they need. So getting that right first is really critical in this process. When we do that, then there are a number of ways that we can attract those people into our ecosystem. And what I found effective is really, LinkedIn is still a prime focus for my marketing, but I have found across 2022 that the restrictions that LinkedIn have put on the platform have diminished the ability to scale that platform as a marketing tool. So it's still a worthwhile tool, but there's a limit to how far you can go with it. So beyond LinkedIn, there's still obviously networking, which, even again, that's not really scalable, but it's still a valuable tool to have in our toolkit. But things like webinars and video on YouTube, just being visible in more places. And, there are lots of ways that you can do that, but they're probably two of the most effective ways where you can actually teach people.
Yes.
To learn what they need to know about what you can offer them. So, bringing them into your ecosystem around what they want, being able to educate them before you start to sell to them, have been the most effective ways that I've grown my sales across the year.
Really interesting. Fantastic. Well, and I think what you said around the LinkedIn side of things is an interesting point, because I've also felt that LinkedIn is such a wonderful platform. And again, it's the focus of my marketing and also the work that I do for my clients. We use LinkedIn as a focal point. So interesting around the visibility aspect. I'm keen to maybe explore that a bit more. So related to what you just said around being visible, one thing that I learned was when it comes to creating trust, a lot of potential clients and people that I met, consulting firm owners, they all talked about, you know what, our building relationships, building sales is all about building relationships. I need to be able to get trust. And it was a question that I took pretty seriously, because how do you build trust when, for a big chunk of it, remember, we've not been out, we'll not be able to go out, or maybe there's been a reluctance there. You know, networking has only really come back recently around face to face. So what I found was, the more that I was able to focus on the education piece. So for me, it wasn't webinars. I'm very keen to do webinars this year. It's part of my one of my items early part of the year. But I found that understanding about how can I communicate some of the key messages, some of the problems through models, and creating videos, and then creating downloadables and video training. So we've done things like that. Putting that, for example, in my LinkedIn profile, as you say, on YouTube, on a website, and then people, whether we know it or not, they have all said to me that, like, I've checked out your videos, I've looked to see how you go about things, and if you combine that with the fact that you're constantly showing up every day with the right activity, and you're constantly looking to learn and be a bit courageous when it comes to testing, trying out different messages, as you say, creating a product or a service that revolves around solving a problem rather than something that you think would benefit. Do all that together, and for me, it's really primed me for the best year ever. In a lot of ways, in personal growth, business growth, and obviously attracting all the things that I'm wishing to achieve. So for me, it's really being having a bit of courage and a bit of tenacity around doing the right things, and being prepared to accept maybe one thing forward, one step back. But I think that definitely the understanding that we still have to build trust with new people, and there are different ways to do that, and as you say, you can't rely on networking. So what else can you do? So that was something that I learned.
Yeah, no, that's a very important observation, I think, Andy, and particularly what I'm seeing more and more is that the typical promotional type marketing that is on most people's websites. Look at me style marketing is, here's who we are, here's what we do, really doesn't land anymore. If it ever did, I'm not really that sure it did. And maybe people have used their websites as like the backup. So we meet people, we get referred to people. The website's there just to give us a bit of credibility. It's not a lead generator, and I've heard that expressed by a number of consultants. But I think that's a really we're abdicating responsibility for marketing in a way, because a website can be a valuable tool in that process. So the education, as we call it in the trade, the content marketing process is what helps to build trust. And I think most of the content that we put on LinkedIn, there's short pieces of content that are really there just to get attention, for people to see us and to see us talking about their problem, so that they recognize, that sounds interesting. I would like to know more about that. Now, the key part of this process then to continue from getting attention to building trust is what comes next. And I think that's where, for me, the webinar has been important, but also other pieces of longer form content like an ebook, or even some of my physical books that I have used in my marketing. The training, like not necessarily a webinar, but a video training. All of these longer pieces of content extend from that first point of connection where our potential client says, that's interesting, I'd like to know more. What are we giving them to educate them further and also build trust in that process? Because when we show them that we understand their problem, that we know how.
Yep. you know how to
build trust.
Yes, and the the knowing is really an important part of that equation, Greg, because if I think about the success, one of the big successes for me was really to focus on this one particular target market, one particular type of customer that I really wanted to work with. And so in my opening discovery calls, I would always ask, so what led you to book a call? And 95% have said, well, it's because you specialize in working with consulting firms.
Yeah.
They get approached by all sorts of marketing companies who promise this, that, and that. And I just break it down and say, well, through what we just talked about, I know, I focus on solving problems of people in your industry. I think the second part is being willing to have a level of personalization.
Yes.
So when it comes to, again, building trust, how do you do that when how can you do that when how do you create that sense of authenticity? And so doing things a bit differently around going to some of the effort around speaking to people, maybe leaving some messages, shooting some videos and sending it to people. Like, you've just got to somehow break it through, because people get slammed with so many emails and so many cold messages. And when you're trying to build a pipeline, and it's taken me a good sort of 8 to 10 months, but for example, now there's a real pipeline there for the first time I hold in my business of actual, of really great types of customers who fit the bill, and that's really exciting for me to have a chat to them and really help impact them. And that's simply because I knew that if you really focus on that solving a problem for one customer, you actually do make your competitors not competitors. You're competing really against the choice of the potential customer. So that was a huge takeaway for me. Again, really being super specialized, and then, but not just saying you're specialized, then demonstrating that through exactly what you've said: a webinar to solve that particular problem, an ebook that focuses on a specific area, videos, all your content. I think it's super important. So that's great.
I think what you've said there about the personalization aspect of it too is really important, because it's not just theory, or it's not just a lecture style education. We're not, that style of educating people off doesn't really connect. But when we can show that we've actually experienced what they've experienced, and that we have personally been through the same challenges they're experiencing, and we talk about that in our education, what gives us the right to be the authority? And it's not, we've both got, our certificates on the walls behind us. We've done the education, but that's not really what gives us the authority. It's having experienced what our clients are experiencing and understanding what they're going through, but also having solved that problem for ourselves and built a model around how we solve that, so we can deliver that same result to other people. When we can demonstrate that, and have that personalized aspect through our education as well, that really attracts people to us and makes us, that specialist and that authority, where our competitors really can't match that. They can't compete with that because we're unique. We're the only ones who've experienced what we've experienced. So, I really like what you said about, our competitors don't stand a chance when we're positioned that way.
Yes, and that's a wonderful exclamation mark. I think that ties off 2022 really nicely. In a sort of, just briefly, Greg, so if we look forward to this year, 2023, what are maybe a couple of trends around getting that consistent growth as a consulting firm? What do you see? What do you see will be important for firms moving forward this year?
Well, I think it's taking advantage of technology, and that's not really a new trend, but I think a lot of consultants haven't really caught up with the technology, and they're still operating in 20th century mode. But the technology is making so many advances now. With AI, particularly, that makes it so much easier for us to find our potential clients. So making use of technology so that we can proactively connect with them, rather than waiting for them to find us. We can use tools like LinkedIn, for example, or even Facebook, which I think a lot of people write off, but I think Facebook definitely has that AI capability. I mean, the 2 billion with a B, sorry, users on Facebook every day. So our clients are there. It's just, how do we find them? And I think the search capabilities and the knowledge, even though we may not like it, for marketers, it's the greatest thing.
Yes.
Ideal clients. So, I think using the technology so that we can proactively market ourselves to a specific target market in a way that we've never been able to before is becoming easier and easier.
Fantastic. I love that technology. Yeah, it's going to be a continuing theme. And I think, in my view, a couple of things. Yeah, one is definitely having a view of marketing or growth around always on activity. So there's going to be times where you're going to be really busy and you're going to be in delivery mode and you just don't have time to market. That's when you need to make sure you've got some sort of scalable program system that allows you to constantly attract, because there's no use to feast or famine. We've all been there where we're sort of looking at the lead sheet going, where's the next one going to come through? Having something scalable and testing it and measuring it and actually running with it, I think is really important. Secondly is thinking about probably that hybrid of the education model, where how are we going to present our ideas, and that could look differently for you. It could be speaking, it could be maybe attending networking events, but also engaging with people there for sure. But also, how can you get really good as a presenter? I think that's a really underrated skill, or people don't know how to do it. Going through a presenting course was such a great opportunity for me, and I know that's really helped me deliver my presentation. So how can you use your skills in the online world and enhance how you tell your story, how you get your message across? Being able to deliver your message in a way that's really concise. I mean, that's the number one skill any consulting firm, professional services business owner can master. Because if you can do that and your team can do that, marketing becomes relevant, scalable, and it gets cut through. So might push you outside your comfort zone a little bit, but yeah, that's where 2023, the people that can actually deliver a message succinctly, concisely in different mediums.
Yeah, no, absolutely right, Andy. And no one succeeds by staying in their comfort zone. So if we want to grow our businesses, we've got to get out of our comfort zones to do that. And the other key thing you said there was marketing is always on. We need to have marketing always on, and it's no longer good enough to think that, okay, marketing's the thing we do when we stop being busy working with clients. We've got and getting results so that we have so many leads that we don't know what to do with them. That's a great problem to have, and that we have so many leads, so many inquiries that we can choose who we want to work with or scale our business to cope with the demand.
How good would that be? Well, thank you so much, Greg. I really enjoyed chatting about that, and I hope you did, listening wherever you are. To wrap it up, Greg, where can we find you online?
Online, I'm on LinkedIn. Just search for Greg Roworth, and the same on Facebook. Facebook's going to be a feature for me this year as well. And obviously on my website at businessflightpath.com.
Fantastic. You can find me at LinkedIn, Andy Marmont, or website is concurve.com.au. Thank you so much for being part of this week's The Accepted Authority. We will see you next time.